massive leaking boobs. Oh, they're one of the most common things women deal with when they first start breastfeeding. We deal with like engorgement. We look down, all of a sudden our shirt is wet. It can be really intense. And for a lot of women, it is incredibly embarrassing. It can trigger a lot of shame, especially if this happens out in public, which Murphy's Law, usually, at least for me, it always happened when I was in public. So yeah, it can bring up a lot. And for some women, it can even make them think like, God, well, do I want to stop breastfeeding? This is like such a hassle to deal with these leaking breasts. I encourage you not to, and I'm going to get to why, but I'm going to tell you my own really embarrassing story first. So when my son was about 6 months old, I was attending a birth and I was like holding back the woman's leg and she was pushing and she was like really concentrating, and I saw something like a water droplet, that's what I thought it was, drop onto her arm, and I looked up because it was raining and we were in a really old hospital and it was having some like leakage issues, but the ceiling wasn't leaking. Oh no, it was my massive mammaries. They were leaking onto this woman. Thank God I had a black shirt on. Nobody seemed to notice. I just like kind of wiped her arm and then ran to the bathroom and tried to like self-express, but my shirt was soaked. It was so embarrassing. So I get it. I was constantly embarrassed by my leaky jugs instead of thrilled that they were producing so much milk, which I wish that I would have had more gratitude during that time instead of embarrassment, but what are you gonna do? So this is something that a lot of women deal with. The video that I will be posting right after this one, it will deal with like the logistics of what to do with leaking boobs. But for now, I'm going to focus more on the like shame and embarrassment component and what we can do with that. So as I've noted a few times in the breastfeeding videos, is that our boobs are sexualized, right? Our whole life we've been taught to think that our boobs are a sexual object. They're an erogenous zone, which they are an erogenous zone. But then now we're suddenly mothers and our breasts are maternal. They're these things that we use to feed our baby, and it can mess with our mind. And it can also make us feel, and this is like women have told me they feel this way, that when their breasts start leaking in public and when their breasts are so big, because for many of us, our breasts get a lot bigger when we're breastfeeding, they feel like people are going to assume that they're like doing this on purpose, that they're trying to attract attention to their breasts, and it just kind of adds to the level of shame. For example, I had a friend, she had double D sized breasts before she had her baby. They grew to a G when she had her daughter. And she would tell me, she's like, I can't go into public. She's like, it's bad enough that these puppies are already so massive, then they start leaking. And she's like, obviously I'm not trying to do this on purpose, but I feel like people are going to think that. And it's just like next level. I feel like she hit on a few, important points. So the first thing is that we think that people are going to judge us. And you know what? Maybe they will, but it's my opinion that the people that might judge us are not the people we should be worried about. We should put more of our focus on the fact that these like glorious leaking mammaries are able to produce food for our baby, to like just focus on our baby when that happens. It's like, okay, I'm so grateful that my breasts produce so much milk. Like I don't give an shit about anybody that would judge me. I care about my baby, and these breasts are filling my baby with nutrients. So it should just like put the focus back on your baby as much as possible. And something else to remember is that our society has made leaking body parts, has made that to be an incredibly embarrassing taboo situation. boogers coming out of our nose, laughing and having a little bit of pee come out, even crying in public, sadly, is seen as like, oh, they're leaking. So of course we think like, oh God, no, like my boobs are leaking. This is so incredibly embarrassing. And I think it's crazy that we feel like we should be ashamed for that kind of stuff. It's our bodies doing what is incredibly natural. Urine comes out of us, boogers happen, tears happen. You know, I think it's so important for us to start shifting our perspective of our bodies and other people's bodies, and to realize that leakage happens and to try to have more understanding and humor about it. That's something else that for me, I started to feel more comfortable going out in public, even with my big old massive boobs, when I decided that I was gonna have a sense of humor about it. When I looked down and my boobs were leaking, instead of being like, oh my God, everybody see me, I would try to just like laugh it off and to see the humor. And it's like, here we go again. And I was totally faking it in the beginning, the like lighthearted attitude. But as I continued to do that, I actually believed it. I actually felt more lighthearted. And I realized that it gave the people around me permission to just kind of like laugh it off, be like, oh man, that must suck or whatever, instead of being like, oh, we must uncomfortably ignore this. And it would just create this like weird tension. So if I would just laugh it off, then it gave other people, again, permission to do that. And sure, like I'd always have an extra shirt in my bag so I could change, because it's uncomfortable having like sticky milk all over you. But yeah, so okay, what are my points? So the main point is to realize you have nothing to be ashamed of. You have every right to go out in public despite what your breasts are doing. And people pay attention to them or whatever, that's their business. Your business is feeding your baby, feeling comfortable being you, laughing it off if you have some leakage. It's no big deal. It happens to almost all of us, and we're like, at least women that breastfeed, maybe even some other people, who knows. All right, if you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments below. And again, keep an eye out for the follow-up video that will have more practical tips for how to deal with leakage.